And we are live. So welcome. We've got Randy, Ricky, Lee, and Ivan. And what a wonderful day to you all, brothers.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you all. Yeah.
Who's going to start?
Well, it's an amazing day. You know, one of the hottest topics, I believe, is we're seeing some news come out about GPMS, at least in the alternative news. So,
You got anything on that, Randy? Have you heard anything about that?
Yeah, just, little bits from, not from inside people, just social media stuff. Like the guys I connect with haven't really said much about that. But it's coming. We know that's kind of the political side of things, like if you want to put this whole illusion into categories, then Nasara is on that side.
I had a thought a bit earlier, and this was an interesting one, that Jazara and Nizara could be used to affect the rollout of GPMS.
All of it, it doesn't really matter too much what people are category they put things into, but the bottom line is that we get comfort for every human being on earth. That's that's what I say to all the people I deal with, and they'll come at me with different subjects and everything like that. By the end of the conversation, I'm ending it with that, like, unless we can get comfort for every human being, it doesn't matter what we do.
Beautiful.
We got to get everybody comfortable.
And that is the ultimate goal, what we need to do. Yeah, like any form of Nasara and Jasara, if all of the funding is not dispersed equally, again, it doesn't take us much closer to the ultimate goal. And one of the things with Jasara and Nasara, what I have looked at is, who still owns the entire system. You can have gold, as backing a currency, but who owns the gold? Who dictates the value of it? Well, the entire global system does. And if the people do not own this system, the 99%, you can work in vain for many years, and you'll have the same cyclical things. Many ventures tried, but they're controlled by the system outside. So we need to take control of the system, which we're doing.
Can't wait.
However, and perhaps Ivan can expand on this. However, the GPMS, which I always say, it's the ultimate. And for that, we need all of the timelines to transition into it. And what's amazing is to see all of them beginning to, because they must comply with the ultimate solution. And in reality, there is no other choice for humanity. And when you look at it, you can see all the timelines converging, every country and everything that's occurring worldwide, the millions and millions of people. But we're at the point now where all the amazing work done by all the sovereignty groups, the humanitarian groups, we are at the point now that there is more than enough awakened, that they don't need to waste time on telling the governments, we want this. We just bypass the governments because it's huge. We have at least a billion or a few billion that are awakened to the degree that they know something needs to be done. So why waste time on a couple 100,000 tyrannical political leaders when you just unite the people and we get it done quickly? But everything is rapidly transitioning into it.
Beautiful. And I feel the same way with this, with unity, and it's the creation of the unity. So at the moment, we've got individuals, as we said before, working for the all, but once they start to work together with the all, and the all works together with them, then everything goes boom. And that's the progression, and that's the transition that we're flowing with. I was going to say flowing with rather than fighting against or forcing, because it's flowing with, right? And I'm really, really interested. Sorry about this, Rick. Well, not sorry. I was just going to push this to Randy a second about a certain comment that was made yesterday in a very definitive way of paymasters and release of funding. Any extrapolation on that, Mr. Randall?
Yeah, I mean, that's the, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, the reality that I've found myself in, right? So through this process, we all kind of have integrated into various systems, you know, like, because there's not just one cabal. There's all kinds of people trying to create something new, and lots of them are really good people. And so the system I've integrated into is the one where the story is that there are royal families, princes and queens and whatnot that are that are sitting on these historical assets, right? And historical being, you know, multi-generational. And are they theirs? Hell no. They belong to the people too. And some of those princes and queens understand that and think of themselves as keepers or holders, and others think of themselves as owners. And it's, you know, or protectors or gatekeepers or whatever, you know, like they've got all their own stories. And that's where, like I'll always say, the cabal is within every single human being, right? So these decisions that are being made by these people that hold the accounts, and that's what there's these off-ledger accounts in this story. Don't forget, you know, like I'm just telling a story from one perspective. And in that story, I've had various, you know, people come back to me, not from social media so much, but some of them are connected to social media, like Sasha Stone and Charlie Ward being two examples, but others that are just connected through the banking industry that I've found myself in, that are corroborating and saying that there is appearance of funds on screen now. So screens being numerous, like blues, black screens, it doesn't really matter. But in the perspective of these people, it matters because they're seeing it in screens that they feel now they have the capability to transfer on to the next process, right? So that's what they call them, why they call them paymasters. And like I said, if I would just hear that from one individual in my kind of group or collective, I would say, okay, that's good, you know, let's move this. But I've heard it from 3 already now, and it's like all 3 of these have potential beyond our lovely Kim Gagoan, Rick, you know, like she's a wonderful storyteller, but as long as she sits in that middle position, which is only designed for God or the goodness in everyone and everything every day, she's kind of on the outside of this. But the other 3 groups that I'm talking of have all said, you know, this is a joint and a group effort, you know, like it's the second coming, if you want to call it that, but it's coming from all of us, you know, it's not from one. And that's
the unity. Exactly.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And what that means is that when people see this, they can, as this opens up and as it's more evident to people without eyes to see further than this at this point in time, that this will give everybody that comfort to realize that things are actually changing and things are moving, as opposed to none of this is happening, none of this is real. It is real, and it's being evidenced in front of us. And isn't that beautiful? And it's inevitable that will create unity, and that brings everything forward.
Yeah, I wish to say something which I love, and it's important. I approached a humanitarian group with about 3 million followers in it plus, and I asked to speak to their leader right away, if you will, and their reply, there's no leaders here, we are all one, which was so powerful and so beautiful. And I said, great, I just wish to speak to a spokesperson then.
which I hope, I was just talking to Bonnie about this, which I hope is going to be a collective consciousness coming through the one person. You know, they're talking for the all, from the all, and their words will be pure and untainted by falsity or overlay. And that's the beauty. And once we get closer and into this sort of system of communication and conversation, well, There is no limit.
We are there now. If I may ask, I wish and I feel for Ivan just to share a little bit about his perspective of that Gesera and Nicera for a few moments and its
Ivan, yeah.
relation to GPMS, if I may.
Jump in, Ivan.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I shared with Rick my perspective earlier, well, a couple of times. The problem with the old system is that it was based in 3D. It's debt slavery and artificial scarcity. And as you know, it's run by the cabal central banking system. So that's the problem. The reaction to that was the white hats created Gesara, and that puts us into a transitional 3D, 4D mindset, which provides financial relief. And it's a limited temporary abundance. Yes, there's a lot of zeros there, but it's still limited. What we're actually looking for is a permanent solution, which is a fifth dimensional mindset, which gives everybody financial freedom for all time. And it's not limited by numbers in a computer screen. It's an unlimited permanent abundance for all. And this is what the global people's monetary system is. Because Gesara, although it's a lot of money, is still comes from a third dimensional mindset that is limited. And at the moment, it is still controlled by the powers that be. Whereas the GPMS, when you when the people take collective charge of the global monetary system, they are in control. It's no longer the powers that be that are in control, it's the people. And it's the unity of the people that put you into a permanent abundance. And that'll be phase 2, right? Phase 3 of the GPMS is where you create any value you need at the time you need it. And because you are infinite and unlimited, your value is infinite and unlimited. You see, and then when we're at that point, we're cutting out gold as the middleman that holds the value, because you are the value that backs the money that you create. So you are the value of the financial system in the GPMS, and you create it as you need it. Therefore, it will always be available infinitely because you are infinite, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's related directly to energy. Your energy is infinite, so therefore your abundance is infinite. Yes. You know, it depends how you want to put it, but this is where GPMS sits, right? In that freedom and that unhindered, unlimited life, however you want to perceive that. But once we start to consider without limit, that's what stops a lot of people, because they need to be into this box. But they don't need to be. They've just learned to be. And
yes,
it's that perception of unlimited that is not there at this point in time. But that's only a mindset, and that's only a concept, yes, and a perception and an overlay and an indoctrination and a program and all of these words that can be altered once it's seen.
Because even in the humanitarian RV GCR process, you got people that are saying, well, how much can I redeem for?
Yeah,
now,
I want my million.
You know what we're talking about. They're still putting a limit on it.
Yes.
How much can I redeem for? In other words, they still thinking that there is a ceiling that you are allowed to ask for. And when I speak to my humanitarian group contacts, I keep telling them that the ZIM bond has no intrinsic value. It's basically just an invitation to the party. What you are redeeming is not the ZIM bond, you are redeeming yourself, which is why there's no limit in your redemption meeting. Because you are the value that is being redeemed in that exchange meeting, in that redemption meeting. It's not the bond that's being redeemed, it's you. It's your value that's being redeemed in the redemption meeting.
And they're buying
See.
you off, more or less.
Yeah.
Yes. So you do not have, if you put a limit on yourself, then you have no one else to blame. You need to know that you are infinite and that you have no limit. Therefore, you can ask for whatever you want, whatever you feel is necessary.
And then this,
Randy, go on.
well, the thing there, Ivan, I'm hearing you loud and clear, brother. That's beautiful words. And it's limited still includes that other corporate word called ownership, right? And when we can get our minds past that, which is what I'm feeling from some of these people, don't get me wrong, not all of them, but some of these people that I deal with in the account holder side, then you start to see progress. Because if we think in terms of I, like you mentioned, how much will I get, from the Zim redemption, that's still a corporate limited, because those two words are the same, corporation and limited corporation. It's just the same kind of language that doesn't work in this new reality of limitless. And, that takes a lot of inner work, as Rick and everybody can qualify here. It's not at a people level, it's still at the human one level, the sovereign human, to get past that structure of limits, it's just amazing. But what you said there earlier too, I just wanted to mention that before I let you guys kick in again, is that the transitional period, you said, the Jasara and Nasara could be like a 4D, and the potential for that to happen, it's all illusion anyway. Even what we're talking about is still illusionary, because the truth is there's only love and there's only God and there's only, heaven. That's all we have here, right? So we're trying to create another illusion, all of us, and the GPMS being another illusion for mankind to accept or reject. So what we want to think in terms of is whether we transition or not. Like, I'm not saying we can't just bounce into it. I can, and you can. Every human being can on an individual level. Can we collectively? I don't know yet. I think there's a transitional period where it's going to take more people to understand that whole concept of non-ownership and non-limit, and the fact that redemption is redeeming yourself as an unlimited being. The only limitation we have is this suit that we walk around in. And other than that, why is it limited? We can think in terms of unlimited there too. So
everything.
Thanks, Ivan.
Open up everything to unlimited. And I look at GPMS slightly differently as a allusion to a freedom of energy. So it's an illusion to give comfort, an illusion to give release the financial burden. But once that's in place, and once that's in the minds of the people, once the inception started and this is ongoing, then it inevitably leads to release of finances and use of energies, which comes more back down to the alignment with source and love and all of those things. So it's another step, it's a progression in the transition to unlimited. It's just it unlimits the concept of slavery. It unlimits the box. It moves all of those walls out the way and says, now what? It's another one of those steps, and we could be having another conversation in 10 years' time, if after 9 years of or 10 years of GPMS, about how do we remove this into the next one. It's ongoing, but each time it's opening and opening and opening rather than closing and closing and closing, which is where we've been.
If I may, if you're done, Lee, what I wish to say, Randall, is that, you had said everything is an illusion. Yeah, we could look at that for ourselves and escape the system. But again, there is a definite divine plan going on. You would not see since 2012 everyone awaken and know the truth. That lets you know that there's something superior behind this. And, with the GPMS, it's a reality that we are creating for the people. So having said that, it's not illusionary at all. It's a definite reality what humanity is very rapidly progressing into. And it takes all of humanity to sign, and to sign, put their signature, the autograph, whatever they wish to call it, and it doesn't matter about an online signature. Just the other day, the Queen of Denmark, if you will, her signature is online for everyone, to see. So there is nothing in that to prevent anyone from supporting it. And it has to be done by all of humanity. Yes, it's energetic, but it's also real. And the more that signs it, we create this reality. And you create the ultimate or the permanent, as Ivan says, the GPMS. Why go over here and create a Jacera Nacera instrument that's still controlled by the system? So we create the voice, the people, and take rightful ownership of the system. And this is where the ultimate ownership comes in. And it doesn't matter, no banks or governments can contest this. When you go into the dynamics of what the GPMS is presenting, anything that opposes it is not humane. It has the full comfort. It has every remedy there within it. It's not defined in complexity because it doesn't need to be. We just need the simple basics there to present it to humanity as a choice. The children even see it, that they would want it. That's how simple it is.
It's just
So, having said this, this is Jens. We're at his place.
It's just getting the word out to people and them seeing it. I spent 2 days over the last 2 days with a few friends trying to get them to see pictures and images and videography of how our eyes fool us and our perception fools us. And each time when something's come up to them and I've said, well, what do you think about that? And every single time they've answered back with what they've been taught or told on television. And I've asked them to look at the image and make a decision without any presumption. And it's very, very, very difficult for them to even see something and not know it as what they've been told it is. And it's a fabulous, I mean, for me, it's just a fabulous, as an observer of watching this now, rather than trying to force this upon anybody, I'm amazed at how deep and how ingrained, I mean, we said this a lot of times, people's concepts are from other people's opinions or what they've been taught, even when it's in front of their eyes and they're being shown something different. So there is this step from getting everybody to see this, to actually realizing what it is and then putting their name down. They're not even seeing it, no matter realizing the benefit. And immediately there is the assumption that it can't happen because they've told me it can't, and that's that limitation. And it's so deeply ingrained. It's fascinating to watch when people actually have to release it. And it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of patience with that person to say, are you sure that's what you think this is? Or is it what somebody else has told you it is? It's incredible. So I'm with all of you guys. I'm literally here. I wish that I could flick a finger and everybody could see clearly or have some of their indoctrination removed. But hopefully that will happen,
On Facebook this afternoon, there was a quote by Ziad Abdel Noor, I think if I pronounce his name right. The quote is, "For those who understand, no explanation is needed. For those who do not understand, no explanation is possible." And I think that's a beautiful quote because it speaks to those that can think and those that don't. So, as some people are just, as you were talking about, they're so indoctrinated. They have no other way of thinking about it other than what they've been told to think about it, because they don't think themselves.
Yeah, but
they
even
have to be told.
even though they can
Yes.
see it and it's going against them, they're still arguing it from somebody else's opinion. And I think that quote you've just given, I was lovely, and it goes along with there are people that will see, there are people that will see when shown, and there are people that will never see, or something along those lines, you know. And I'd love to think that that's not the case, and it can be just blanketed out, but I guess time will tell.
No, may I say, you know, you can look at the GPMS as a worldwide referendum or a vote, and you know, that's the way to put it out. If someone wants to support it, put your signature on it. Forget about it if you're not one to carry these things forward, because there are many leaders and a huge think tank that is being created. And Heaven also said this, you know, we are having, let's say, candid, or we are having meetings behind the scenes, and many things are developing very quickly. And I am, and I haven't fully disclosed yet to the public, but the personal meetings are very eventful, and also getting the seeds in there to the right places and overcoming, very importantly, the ego of the sovereignty and humanity groups. They're discovering they cannot do it themselves, that it does take the unity. So currently, we are bridging that gap, and they're understanding, at least, it takes all of the people. One I met with the other day here in Denmark, and I'm absolutely impressed with all of the measures they did. But a lady that is affiliated with important groups, you know, when I said we need 1 billion signature and we'll see, you know, definite movements, she she said, Rick, we don't even need that. And then she gave me some other information that I will not share yet, but let me say it made me very happy. And it gave me the realization that we are this close, you know, to GPMS going viral, and the seeds are going in everywhere. And Randall, you know, with Kim and what she was trying to do, as well as many others, what's currently happening is that they're understanding it takes the unity. So with life force and what have you, humanitad, they're realizing the only solution is for the people to own the system. Then it gets done. So that is beginning to be integrated within these huge groups to make the mass unity very quickly. And Heaven said that there are billions, more than 1 billion that is awake. I mean, very quickly, look at the World Freedom Alliance. If you look at their numbers, what they had several months ago when they began putting out the liability forms for everyone, you know, the views they had on that website, I believe Dolores Cahill said in a month or something was like 1 billion, even though you might have had repetitive visits. Let's say if each one visited 4 times, you still had 250 million. You know, these are substantial numbers. And look where you're at, Lee, the protests are growing steadily. And then amazingly, the governments are imploding rapidly. And so, you know, so we have the governments imploding, then we have everything supportive for the GPMS. So, yeah, I'm sitting here, you know, sitting on some info, but I'm ready, waiting for the time is right, and we'll put it all out. But yeah, we're making the connections. The unity is happening, guys.
I feel it. I see it. I feel it. I see the blockages really releasing themselves, not being forced to in a lot of ways. They're releasing themselves, and it's obviously divine. It must be. Otherwise they would maintain that mine attitude, and they can't, right? And and this is the beauty of it. And what you were saying a bit earlier, Rick, about that sovereign group or that humanitarian group that you were talking to, and that you asked to speak to their leader. It's the same with GPMS. You know, it's the same. It doesn't matter which one of us you speak to. It will be the same sort of message-ish from all of us, you know, unity.
I just wish to just say I did go back and put with Rick Jors on the global monetary system because it does need an identity there to keep it going. You know, someone needs to know, okay, who's behind this or what have you. So I put myself there, you know, just as a name, but it is all of us, and that's what it has to be. And, you know, if we need to get to such a point, things are happening so rapidly that if we need to get to such a point, we can put a whole panel on the GPMS website. You know, I'm great with that and I can step back, but it does need some, at least physical entity, you know, to take this forward. So I did do that, but it's for all of us.
Yeah. You know, I was going to mention, like, I decided to throw my name into this, walk in the park for mayor in my city here, Rick. I don't know if you're aware of that or not, but I decided to do that. And part of that was trying to get a temperature or feeling for probably one of the most spoiled cities on earth, okay? Because Calgary, Alberta is just amazing. Like the wealth that's here, the you know, the mindset of the people that are capitalist, you know, because of the oil industry and whatnot. It's just an amazing place where I dropped myself into. Once again, I think of it that way, you know, like if I'm going to think of my participation in this, I'm thinking of it from that home base where this mammal exists. And, you know, the comfort income words are what really resonate with people easily. Like when I start conversations, this is outside of social media, you know, just walking up to people on the street, right? Because, you know, most of them are on social media, but their social media sites are Britney Spears or, you know, you know, something like that, or arguing with governments or any of that kind of stuff. Not into that kind of zone where a lot of us met was, you know, basically social media because of the love that we have and our commitment to humanity. But these people that I run into, when I can get them focused, even just for a moment or two, on the idea of comfort for everyone, and just, you know, I spew out that one simple statement very often, like, under capitalism, man exploits man. Under communism, it's the exact opposite, which is a John Kenneth Galbraith quote, which is just beautiful in my mind. And that's where most people work, is in that realm of politics or those illusory domains of capitalism and communism, you know. So I bring it back to them, I say, well, where are you at with that? It sounds like socialism. I said, no, socialism attaches something to it. This is just complete unlimited gifting, or alone, which is a gift of God, not the other definition of it. And it's available to all. So it really gets the conversation into the minds of the average people that aren't thinking where we are yet, you know. And if I can do that with one person each day, it just feels so good to get that feedback from them saying, well, that's a pretty good idea. Like this, sat with a couple of older wealthy women who had just got back from a holiday and stuff, and they said, well, I guess I could give my money to somebody else. I said, who the hell are you going to give it to? I said, if you get it, just use it for yourself. Everybody else has theirs, you know, like, and they also have the capability to go out and get more if they think in terms of unlimited and get themselves into this, like Rick was talking about, get into that next phase of human development, or Ivan was mentioning. And so I'm not saying it's not transitioning. It is transitioning, Rick. It's transitioning really fast. And to put a name on it doesn't really matter to me. It's just the big name that I want to put in my mind, and the one that works the best for me, is it's compassion and love and comfort for all. And that seems to work with people. And, you know, if that's GPMS, then that's GPMS. It doesn't matter, you know, like it's to me, it's that natural comfort that we can find. And I mean, it's here on earth, like right here where you and I are sitting, Rick. It's out in the bush, and it's like everything else, every other life form on this heavenly planet that we live on gets it. Humans have to create something illusory or else create something that's natural, like what you're saying that GPMS is. And I'm not arguing that. It is natural that everyone deserves their comfort and their abundance, unlimited.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And I would put in there that people need, well, I would hope that I put in a bit of a defeatist statement a bit earlier about Jazara and Nizara maybe being used against GPMS, but that's not the case. Because what it would do is show people that there are these funds that were there and were controlled to such a degree, and then all of a sudden they can be released. Well, where do they come from? You know, and then you can start asking through that. But either way, it will still release some of the chains, even if it is still controlled as a transition. It will still release some of those chains, and some of that stress and anxiety and fear will be released transitionally. And you know, and then people can start to think a bit more. I don't know how this is going to roll. I don't know what's going to come first, second, third, fourth. But it's inevitable that GPMS is going to happen. It's just when, and all we've got to do is keep the information going, keep the unity going, keep the ideology of unlimited versus limited, the slave system versus freedom. And people will realize that they are in a prison of the mind and of the control factions and of the narratives and of society and of culture, and all of it is a prison. And we can then create freedom, which is unprisoned. We can step out of those prisons, but we'll do it from an internal place. We're not walking out of a door. We're freeing ourselves to see much, much more. And all of these systems that we're controlling are collapsing. They're being decommissioned. They're being disemboweled, disestablished, whatever you want to call it, as we speak. And we can see them falling. We can see the people. We can see the lies. We can see the corruption. We can see all of this now. It's even in mainstream now. But people still see themselves in that prison and want to be in that prison. And once they realize, they step out of it internally. And there's the freedom, right? And this is just moving all of this towards our reality becoming unlimited. What a wonderful time if we can step into that. And I think that's where these conversations roll around, these kind of ideas and these ideals and these knowings that is where we're going, and that is where we're going to be, and that is what we are on now, this movement towards that. And all we've got to do is position ourselves where we want to be, not where somebody tells us to be or where their opinion says we should be. You know, and when we can simplify things down to these simple words, these simple look, eyes, see, don't consider what somebody else has said, see it for yourself. What do you think? When we can make that really transparent and people can get it and grasp it. What's the word they call it? Grok. Is it grok? Grok, yeah. Then this is just going to roll and roll and roll and roll. And like Rick says, go viral very, very. I mean, I feel something's changing really, really quickly now. I don't know about you guys in all the timelines, whatever you want to call it, like levels, however you want to look at it. There's massive shifts and they're pretty much upwards. In fact, all of the shifts downwards aren't happening.
No.
I wonder why.
If I may, at this point, yeah, the last 2 days, the upward shift in the consciousness, and as Randy is saying, you know, we don't need to really to take the consciousness forward. Now, let's look at this on a higher esoteric level and what we really are, you know, as a conscious collective. And you can take what I'm about to say and apply it even to evolution, that the superior consciousness, if you will, with this does persevere. So all of humanity does come into this. And, you know, here today, there are 4 of us, only 4 of us having this meeting out of millions that are in this higher consciousness state, which is above even the government. So it is a no contest to this level of consciousness, what we have today. And it is causing great rapid awakening Just by, us having this, we are energetically enhancing the consciousness to this. And they are getting it. And as I said, everyone that Femke and I have met here in Denmark, once we began to speak a little bit about the GPMS, sometimes we don't even need to. It's in alignment, and they got it. And because, so much work has been done in here in Denmark that I was oblivious to before we came here. And I am impressed. And again, every little bit that we do, like you say, Randall, speaking, to the three wealthy ladies, and just in respect, to the wealth, the GPMS does not discriminate. That's their wealth. It's honored into the system, plus they get more. But what this does, if you look at the real figures, the real statistics, the real demographics of society worldwide, if you really wanted to look at it, you would have perhaps 90% are in a level of poverty or at least lack. That's a substantial number. So again, the GPMS, when you have the GPMS coming in to just their awareness as a vote, they don't need to be a rocket scientist. They don't need to know about higher consciousness. They don't need to know about energetics. They just need to know there's a petition in front of them that they can support. They're used to that. They have been educated to vote and to sign petitions. So it can be viewed that way in its simplicity as well. And having said that, yes, we have those that are not fully awake yet, but we have this huge amount of awakened ones. And I love to say, I feel, it's perhaps a couple billion right now that are awake enough to grasp this. And having said that, when we create this huge voice, so much is going to happen very rapidly. I mean, you look at the growth curve, if you will, we've been going like this, but then it's going to just go straight up when you put it on a chart. So yeah, it is occurring. I did have another thought, but I lost it. So I'll zip up for a moment and let someone else speak.
What's your thoughts?
Well, that's great. I was gonna just add to that consciousness thing, like, this last year and a half or 2 years of this really mega illusion that's been going on has given a lot of people the capability to do that inner work, that to connect with that consciousness, which is in all of us, like you said, Rick. It's just, but a lot of times we're so distracted by day-to-day events or business or whatever, politics, you name it, that that people don't go there. But it's getting easier and easier to go there. And to go there is to connect with that higher self, that source energy that, a lot of people say to me, God, you sound a lot like Randall now, or something like that. And this one lady friend of mine over here in Edmonton, she said, well, no, it's you're hearing the same thing as Randall and I am hearing, because you're going inside now. And I thought, that's a perfect example. It's not as if there's a leader out here. The leader is within. The creativity is within. The expression is the outer. So that's why I like to think of everything as illusion, Rick. And I'm not saying it's, human constructs of any kind are not, how do I put that? Like, I agree with you, but at the same time, I still think we're still creating something here that is not quite harmony with nature. Because if we were harmony with nature, we wouldn't have any money, like that would just be,
that was one of the strategies moving forward from GPMS would be that GPMS takes us to a place of no money. That's the thing. When people talk about cashless societies, and I get called up, Rick's even called me up on, what is a cashless society? I don't mean where it's been removed. I mean, it's where we've chosen to release it. And that's what GPMS allows with a plethora of money, with a veritable cornucopia of financial release. means, well, what do we want? What do we ever want that for? You know, and that I hope that's what you, well, I think that's what you mean, isn't it, Randy?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I guess, you know, is it much different than these kings and queens that are sitting on ancient assets that want to help humanity and have been held back by a political or banking family agenda? And I mean, because they think the same way, that what they're sitting on is for humanity. A lot of them do. So getting some of them, you know, to put their names on it, like you said, Rick, you know, the Queen of Denmark or whatever has actually put her autograph on it. Maybe that's what needs to happen a little bit more, just getting into their field of reality, if you want to call it that, or their perception of reality, which I'm close to a number of different people that are talking in those realms of being holders of, or, you know, paymasters now of these unlimited sources, because it is unlimited. I mean, when you can put all these zeros behind it, but all it takes is, you know, what, maybe 20 to make it unlimited, you know, like it doesn't matter beyond that, because, you know, 10 quadrillion is enough to feed the planet how many times over, you know. It's just, numbers don't really mean anything concrete at that level. It's just unlimited. So I think that's where we're seeing this exponential growth, is because there's people that are connecting to these account holders who think in the same kind of relative manner, who maybe not are putting a name on it, you know, like GPMS or, you know, just comfort income or whatever, but the thought is still there. It's an unlimited comfort for all. And I'll stop again there.
I need to interrupt. Well,
Sure.
You're finished, so I'm not interrupting. I need to clarify. I did not say that the Queen of Denmark signed the GPMS as of yet, to my knowledge. What I did say is that her signature is out for the public. If you're to go and look on WikiLeaks, you know who she is. It's put out in the public, her signature. And the reason I brought this up, I mean, if you have a queen, if anyone has reserves about putting their signature on something, you know, here's a queen's signature out in the public that could be copied by anyone. But the point being, again, is your signature on the GPMS. It's an e-signature. And this is what I wanted to say. It's not your original handwritten signature. So
Right.
I wanted to just give an example. So again, you know, the Queen, to my knowledge, at least yet, has not signed it, but her signature is out there worldwide. So if anyone's worried about a signature, no, have no reserves at all.
I'm sure she'll sign it one day.
Yeah, with GPMS, you know, you give an email address and you give your online signature, and perhaps Ivan, you know, could just add one of the reasons why the signature was even needed.
Yeah, the signature there is to reinforce the physical interaction with the digital space. That's the easiest way to describe that. That's why it's there.
I think the biggest.
It's also to prevent robot signing. You know, this defines human interaction. It just happens to be in a digital space.
I think one of the easiest things to put it, one of the easiest words I looked at it anyway, was it's not you're not signing a contract. You're voting. It's casting a vote. There's no contractual obligation or stealing or fictitious anything coming back off that signature. There's no contract.
Yeah, it's providing consent. Yeah,
all it is, and it's removable should you want to. You know, so it's not even there's no. You don't even have to consent. You can consent and then whatever. Remove it. It's not like it's anything to it.
There's something I just want to roll the clock back a little bit. Earlier, Randall was speaking about releasing ownership mindset, that that people are trapped in an ownership mindset. And then he was also talking about this is an illusion. And then also that we need to be in harmony with nature. And Lee, you also spoke about bringing it back to the release of energy. And all of these, in my mind, connect to the same topic, which I want to discuss quickly, is ownership of consciousness. We know that everything is conscious. Every atom is its own consciousness. Every organism is its own consciousness. Your body part, your heart has its own consciousness. Your leg has its own consciousness. You are not the brain. These are just parts of you. Even your DNA has its own consciousness. The wind is its own consciousness. The elements are its own consciousness. So everything is consciousness. And this comes to the understanding of E equals MC squared. When we bring that everything is consciousness, everything is God, God is consciousness, and everything is aware because everything is God, then what is ownership? Ownership is a third dimensional slavery system. When you own money, you are saying, I own that consciousness because money is consciousness. Everything is energy. Everything is conscious energy. So when you own money, you are saying you are the slave owner because money is the slave. So when we take that into a fifth dimensional consciousness, you can't own money because in fifth dimension, there's no slavery. Slavery has already been abolished in those UCC filings in 2012 and 2013. There is no more a legal basis for slavery systems. They've all been abolished thanks to Heather's UCC filings. But where does that take us into a fifth dimensional mindset? You can't own money. You can't own land. You can't own property. You can't own people. Why? Because all of these things are consciousness. You cannot own God because all of that is the expression of God. So what becomes of ownership in a fifth dimensional world? You can't own the land. You can be its steward. You can be its caretaker. You can be its person that is responsible for its upkeep, but you can't own it. And it's the same with money. You can't own money in a fifth dimensional realm because that reduces us to a third dimensional slavery system. So in a fifth dimensional unlimited space, you can only be the steward, the caretaker, the person that releases the energy or directs the energy and works in harmony with nature. Do you see how it all comes back to a change in mindset? We not only have to change our word, but we have to change our mind that we do not own the money, that we are its steward, that we are its caretaker, we are directing energy, we are in harmony with nature because even nature is energy, so money is energy. In the third dimensional world, money was an energy harvesting system. What we're trying to do with Jasara and with GPMS is reverse that and make money an energy distribution system. So we are changing the flow. Instead of like a vacuum sucking up energy, we want to blow it out and blow out energy and release energy, make energy flow. You see, so that's working in harmony with nature.
Like a current.
So,
Thank you.
Yeah, to keep it simple, in another perspective, what Ivan is saying, you had the control system by the bankers and governments or whatever, controlling the money, putting people in states of deprivation and suppression and misery. So where the control and the enslavement of money is what the governments did, we're reversing that control to give it to the people with the good heart, which we're using money as a transitional tool. So by then transitioning from the slavery of money into the freedom of money, then ultimately we are at the higher level, even above the GPMS, where money is not required at all and where it is nonsensical. And also with this, it advances humanity forward very quickly. So we're transitioning them. We have actually, as you would say, Randall, and you like this, and I do as well, we flip the tables on the money exchangers. It has already occurred because we exist and are even sitting here today and talking about it. This is one proof that that is true. Number two is that you see so many awakening at this time, and I could say a lot, but yeah, so it is inevitable and it is imminent, or we would not even be sitting here today and having this discussion. Thank you, Ivan, for that beautiful higher consciousness perspective as well, because that's where we're going with humanity. We can get there on an individual basis, and it's what I say. I could manifest, Femke and I, everything for ourselves that we need. But this divine mission, it is not about us. It's about humanity. Same as it's not about you, Randall, and Lee, and Ivan, and all of the others. This is why we're doing it. We can create and manifest whatever we need for ourselves, but it's not about us. The reason we're on the planet here in this time is for the rest of humanity that could not do it. So we are the peers, the leaders, the way showers to do it very quickly. And it has to be done now. And the whole corona was just a divine instrument to assure and guarantee that it does get done quickly.
Beautiful. Go on, Randy. You got to say something, brother. I can see the smile coming in.
Well, I don't know. It's just, I think we've covered all the angles today. It's just been beautiful conversation, guys. I like to kind of sit for an hour at a time for these things, and I think we're pretty close. So I'm probably going to head off pretty quick. And yeah, no real final thoughts from me. I've just met, one more very wise and enlightened man. Ivan, thank you very much for introducing us. And, Lee and Rick and I have known each other for quite a while, and we know that it's inevitable. We just have to be patient and be loving. And, it's not about any fight anymore. That's all over with. It's just be kind and be loving to these people that are still stuck in the illusion at whatever stage, and assure them that all is good. I mean, I've delved into it so much that I could say more, but there's no point in talking about the past. It's already done. Like you said, Rick, we've already transitioned out of that, from that government and common law, pure trust, managing directors, and all of that setup that was initiated by a few that may or may not have had some pretty benevolent goals. I can't say for sure one way or another. We have transitioned, I think, into a pretty good society. We don't see the wars that we used to. We don't see as much suffering as what I think happened. But then again, who the hell knows, because history is all bullshit. But I do see right here and right now, so many beautiful, enlightened people like the three guys that are on here with me. And I'm just so impressed with what everybody has done on the inner work and on the creative side. And with peace, harmony, love, abundance, and freedom for everyone and everything every day on my mind, I'm going to head off pretty quick, guys. So thank you.
I don't think we've got much more to say. Oh, go on. Sorry, Rick. Keep going.
At this point, Randall, I wish to publicly say that I'm just so impressed and enthusiastic with all of the great work you are doing going in there as well, brother. And I notice it, and I know how powerful it is as well. And it's making things move in there. So much love and light and gratitude to you for all the work you do going in there, and for everyone that's doing everything, to transition this going forward. It's nothing less than amazing when you actually look at what we are all doing together, and more coming together as well. So it's very beautiful. It's happening.
Beautiful, Rick. Ivan, have you got any last words, brother?
No, it's Randall already said it, and so, I mean, I think we've all had quite a. I think the way these chats usually work out, there's a reason why you can't say what you want to say at the time you wanted to say it, because you're supposed to say it later. Yeah. So, but yeah, it all comes out, and it flows. We get the topics discussed, so these are good.
Beautiful. Well, I'll finish it at this then, guys. Thank you very much. And Randy, Rick, I appreciate everything you're doing, and everybody else out there. It's just being done so beautifully, regardless of progression and transition. What the resilience and the effort and the love and the compassion, even regardless of the actual titles to any of these, is beautiful to see. And I thank you all from the bottom of my heart, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. I love you.
Thank you all. Thank you so much,
Okay,
Lee, for hosting this, and everyone that joined. And woohoo, it's happening. Like Femke says, Ricky, it's happening. Woohoo.